Hello everyone and welcome to another lecture in our IFRS 13 series. Today we will be discussing the different valuation techniques that can be used to determine the fair value. We will cover the market approach, cost approach and the income approach and examine how each is applied in practice. This lecture is essential for understanding the tools available to measure fair value accurately. Let's get started and discuss some valuation techniques to determine fair value. IFRS 13 allows for three primary valuation techniques: the market approach, the cost approach, and the income approach. Let's first discuss the market approach. The market approach is the most straightforward technique. It involves determining the fair value of an asset by referring to the current market prices. In other words, you look at the prices at which similar asset or liability are being traded in the open market and use these as a basis for your fair value calculation. For example, suppose you are trying to determine the fair value of a piece of machinery. If there is an active market where similar machinery is being bought and sold, you can directly refer to the prices in that market. The market price will serve as a reliable indicator of the fair value of your asset. Then, the second approach we have to discuss is the cost approach. The cost approach comes into play when there is no active market for the asset in question or the asset is highly specialized. In such cases, you cannot simply refer to the market prices because there are none available. Instead, fair value is determined based on the cost of replacing the asset with similar one plus an appropriate profit margin. This approach is particularly useful for specialized assets where market comparables are not available. For instance, if you own a custom-built piece of equipment that does not have a readily available market price, you would use the cost approach. You would estimate the cost of building a similar piece of equipment today and then add a profit margin to determine its fair value. And then the third approach we have is the income approach. The income approach is based on the idea that the value of an asset is equals to the present value of future cash flows it is expected to generate. This approach is often used for intangible assets such as patents or trademarks, where the asset's value is tied to the income it can produce over time. For example, if you have a patent that grants you exclusive right to a particular technology, you would estimate the future cash flows the patent is expected to generate, and then you would discount these future cash flows to their present value using an appropriate discount rate. The result would be the fair value of the patent. This approach is particularly relevant for assets that are specific to an entity and do not have an active market, such as proprietary technology, patent, or trademarks. Since these assets are unique to the entity, their value is best captured through the income they can generate. Each of these three valuation techniques has its own strengths and is suited to different types of assets and circumstances. The market approach is ideal when there is an active market for the asset. The cost approach is suitable for specialized assets. And the income approach works well for intangible assets and situations where the future income potential is the key value driver. Each of these three valuation techniques has its own strength and is suited to different types of assets and circumstances. The market approach is ideal when there is an active market for the asset. The cost approach is suitable for specialized asset, and the income approach works well for intangible assets and situation where future income potential is the key value driver. In practice, an entity might use one or a combination of these approaches to determine the fair value of its assets. The choice of approach depends on the nature of asset, the availability of market data, and the specific circumstances of the entity. Understanding these techniques and knowing when to apply each is crucial for accurate and reliable fair value measurements. In our next lecture, we will cover the hierarchical approach to fair value measurement. I hope this session has enhanced your understanding of valuation techniques. Thank you for watching and see you in the next lecture.